Hey, welcome back again. Yeah, I've actually been on. I've been on about 6-7 o'clock this morning, Jake. This is actually the second stream I'm jumping back on, not the first one. So I've just gone off to look at the schematics and I've found an issue within probably about half an hour. So I figured I might as well just jump back on and we'll attempt to see if this is the only issue. I found a few issues, but we might as well go through what the issues are. I'll just let a few people join back in first because there was quite a few watching originally that will probably jump back on to see if we fixed it. But there is one glaring mistake that's definitely going to prevent the boot. I don't know whether the VSync issue we've seen is going to be fixed though, because that's still strange, but we'll see. Haven't even cleaned the desk up since this. Yeah, the clean RGB for SNES, I've had quite a few requests for that. I think I'm going to make an integrated board, like an easier to install because it's using the clean RGB universal, but that's a lot of work. It's like tuning dials, adding loads of wires, putting the edge buster on separate. So I don't know whether do a video on that or just make the integrated product first so it's a much easier install. But either way, I might do it. Clean up this desk a bit. So I guess, do we want to see what the problem is I've found? So the issue we've got a few issues on this board. The first is, I can put the speaker in so you can see, but basically it doesn't load games. We've put like 3 ASICs on, so I'm pretty confident it's not the ASICs, but it still could be. But if we turn on, we just get noise and nothing happens. And we've put an ASIC on here. We've done like 2 or 3 of them. We've used 2 boards, so we've got another board here. And they basically act exactly the same, so that's what's making me think it wasn't the ASICs. Morning, Lee, welcome in. We're just hopefully going to fix this new RePCB we've just made. So let me just show you what it is I've figured out, which it's definitely an issue. Whether it's the only one, I'm not sure. So I've gone through, this is my schematic of this board here. So this is the actual schematic of the drawing. I've also got, let's see what else I've got open. I've got the schematics open here. So this is one of the redrawn schematics for the same board. And then I've also got a redrawn schematic here by Math that's done another one. So I've used all of them in case certain schematics have got issues. Found out on the Math schematic there's actually an issue. I thought it was an issue on my board, but then I realised it's actually an issue on this redrawn schematic. It's not really an issue as such, but it is if you're going to follow this schematic. This refresh pin is got written down as pin 118. So you can see the refresh pin here says 118, but also the NTSC pin is 118. So at first when I saw that, I was like, oh, the refresh pin's wrong on mine. But if you compare that to the other schematics and probing the pins, you can see 118 is NTSC, but the refresh, which makes more sense, is pin 141. So mine is actually correct. It's just a slight issue on the Math schematic here. Other than that, this one is all fine and correct. So we can close this one down. This matches every other schematic now. So far, this one we found there was an issue on this schematic here as well, with A7 to AD7. That's also wrong. A7 on the RAM should be grounded, but that won't cause a major issue as such. So there's multiple issues on schematics, but the main issue I've found that is 100% going to cause the problems is the read and write pins here. So this one, I even went over it and checked and didn't notice, and you'll see why in a minute, but the read pin is pin 130. The write pin is 129, so reads higher, if you think about it that way in pin order. That goes over and down to the work RAM, I believe it is, and the read and write pins here, so pin 27 and 22, which is output enable for read. Now, if we go to my schematic here, you can see it's quite easy to see, oh, all these are in order and working, but if we look really closely, I'll put the write pin on the read pin and the read pin on the write pin. Now, I was like, oh, I found the issue. So then I scrolled down. So remember, the read pin is actually pin 130. So it's written correct here. This is correct. So pin 30 is read. So it's just the text here, the net name that we call it, is wrong. And it says write. So pin 130, which is actually read, goes across, down, across, and into OE. So if we check the schematic, which is here, you can see OE is read. So I was like, ah, shit. So it is actually right. There's no issue. So we're connecting to the RAM correctly. So pin 22, OE, goes to pin 130, read. So pin 130 and pin 22. And then we go here. So pin 22 goes up and into pin 130. So I thought, ah, great, so it isn't the issue. And then the same with the read. So it's wired here correct, but remember this is a net name. So when you put the red text on the schematic like this, it's referring to a net name that you can then reference anywhere else. Well, the other place it's referenced is on the cartridge port. So now the cartridge port has the right pin in the right place, but it's the wrong label over on the ASIC. So basically what that means is the cartridge port specifically has read and write backwards. So it's never going to work. So fingers crossed if we fix that, this will fully work. The other concern is just the VSync pin collapsing. I still don't get why that's happening. I'm hoping that just resolves itself, but maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know. I did find a few other minor issues with reviewing everything. I say a few, I've found one so far, that I've accidentally put the 68 picofarad capacitor here to smooth clock noise for some reason on the M request pin, not the CC-LK pin, but it works perfectly fine with or without that on both cases, so it won't actually matter, but that is technically something I'll fix before production. So the issue we have is that we've got to flip around the read and write signals on the cartridge port. So if we take a look at it full screen, we have the cartridge port here and the write pin here. What we need to do is make sure that this connection between the CPU and the RAM stays, so this pin has all got to be the same, but then we need to flip this wire here, so this trace here has got to flip going into this connector that basically goes into this cartridge connector here. So we need to flip the pins around just on this ribbon, this cartridge connector. So to do that, what we can do is, where are we going? Close that down. We can cut the trace, say here, because it's got to be cut from this cartridge connector and we wired. Or, yeah, I think in this case that's probably the only place, because we've either got to cut this trace running along here and send a long wire, which we could do. What we could do is say, cut the trace here, and then send a wire all the way from here over to the other pin, which is the read pin, I believe, somewhere over here, to this read pin. So it needs to go to there. The other option is we'd have to cut the trace here, but then solder to the cartridge pin here, which is a bit difficult. So I think we'll go for just running a long wire, cutting this trace here and running the long wire to the read. And then we want to do the same for the read. So we want to do Where's the read pin? Want to do this one. This goes up through to there. So this one's a little bit easier because this connects to here. So we can use this pad to solder to there. And we can just cut this trace. So what we could do is we could cut this trace here to sever it and then solder from the right pin and over. So that's what we've got to do. We've just got to make sure we do it right. So I'm going to pull this over onto my screen, go over the top, and let's make sure we get this right first. And then hopefully that's the only issue we end up with. Is that fully zoomed in? There we go. Yeah, it definitely seems to go slightly laggy, that camera does. Zoom in closer. So let's do one first. Let's do the read because that seems easier. We've got to sever the connection there. So between above the letter E on connector, we've got to sever the trace to the left side. So oh, you can't really see the connector. There we go. So above the E, it will be that dot there. We need to sever at this side. So what we're looking at is, if I zoom that out a minute, why is the face super zoomed in? Got a crazy zoomed face shot there. Zoom in, zoom out. Yeah, why is the face gone massive? The face cam's gone zoomy as. Let's try turning him on and off. Didn't notice that before. Yeah, that face cam's gone like crazy zoomy. What the hell? Okay, the stream's you can just watch a huge face shot of me now. I don't know why that's happened. I can't be bothered fix it. You can just look at I mean, do you really want to look at a face that big though? Let's try deactivating and activating. Yeah, why is that zoomed in? Okay, I'll just try and fix this face cam in because that's a bit crazy. Where did I learn this? This is all self-taught, basically. Right, so we have this on. Oh, now I've opened the software, zoom back in, track me. You're going to see my face. There we go. So, don't know what happened with that camera then. He just decided to digitally zoom. Right, back to this. Did I think about doing a USB for SNES? Yeah, it's been on my list for a while. It's something that people have been wanting for a while. I will get around to it. Oh yeah, that was why I had that open. I need to show you this. So this is the trace that we're trying to cut, and obviously on this board, I'm also going to have to disable this overhead and re-enable it. That's going laggy. See how it's like quite slow. Deactivate. Activate. There we go. That lag's gone. I think it's struggling. So yeah, this trace here, this line, there's the dot that we can see there. And then we want to cut the trace going diagonally away from the dot. So that's what we've got to do. So let's get the grinder. I'll see if I can do this by eye, but I'll probably need to use the scope on this because the delay in the image is a little bit hard to work with. So you can see there's the via, and this is the trace coming through. So if we just cover that, you can see the copper trace. I mean, you can't really see it clear enough to tell, but because I know the trace is there and I know what to look for, I'm going to try and cut through that like so. And then let me just check under the scope that we've cut it, which means we've disconnected the cartridge port from that pad, which is what we want. Yeah, that looks perfect to me. And I believe I've cut through just that trace. So we can test with continuity as well that that's the case. So we can, in fact, if I pull that down, let me just move this floating cam, is it? Let me move this slightly in because I tend to work with that slightly offset. Bit better position, there we go. So the vertical people can see a bit more without me moving the board around. Continuity, beeping, and then if we pulled up the screen, what we want to check is the pin above the letter E there. So that read should still go down to here somewhere, which it does, but it shouldn't go to this connector at all, which it doesn't. So we've disconnected the read, that's step one. Now let's disconnect the write, which is here. So if we then look at this one, this is a bit more tricky because the cartridge connector goes across down to here, and when it gets to this pad, well, it isn't more tricky actually. That's we need to cut the trace under the board, running under and across. Basically, that's where we need to cut. And then it'll keep it the other side, but we've still got this pad easy to solder to. So we need to flip the board over and look for that trace running the other side. So we need to look on here, somewhere around here. So there's the traces we can see quite clearly. So now if we look at the schematic, what we can do is flip the board around, so we're looking at it from the underside, go to single side mode, go to the blue, and we can then see quite clearly those three traces that you're seeing are there. So it's the bottom trace, and we need to cut it this way. So we need to cut this side of the trace. And then around it's all ground, so what we can do is just cut. If we zoom right in, we want to cut sort of right here to disconnect it just at that point. So again, I'll try and do this so you can see. I'm going to take that trace there, just eat through the board, and that's it. So now we've disconnected that trace. Let's do the same check, the other side. And we now want to check that the right pin, which is, I go on the computer, flip the board around, come out of single mode. It's the second pin across, so this pin should still connect to somewhere down here, I believe. Where does it connect to? Yeah, it should connect to pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up. Oh, maybe this side won't actually. I think we've cut that side, so that won't be connected. Let's have a look. That goes through and up. Oh yeah, so all that's disconnected. So, yeah, 7 up is where we're going to have to join from. So that's correct. So now we've cut that. Let's figure this one out. We now need to send the read pin, which is labelled right on ours, which is pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th pin down on here, which is the 7th pin from the right going across, will be the true read pin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the actual read, which needs to go to what's written on the board as read. So I'll do for that. And now this can go, because this pad, I believe the read pad is still connected to the connector. So let me just double check where we did the cut, that's true. So the read pad, we cut it up there, yeah, so it'll still be connected to this read pad here. So if we solder it to that, it will effectively solder it to the actual cartridge port. So that's what we want to do with this wire. So we'll come over, cut this, and there we go. It's exposed, and now we should be able to just tack it onto there. There we go. So that is now the read pin restored. And now we need to do the same for the right. The right pin goes not only to this pin, but also this pin. So this, and over here are connected. But to keep it looking the same, we'll just connect to this right pin here. So we know we need a connection there. So that's on there. And let me just check where it should go to. Which it should be pin 2. So we go over. And it should be the second pin over here. Bit excessive on the solder there. Right, so that should be both of them restored. We're not bothered about looks for now, we just want to see if it works. And I'm going to leave the clean screen off for now because I can't see that fixing the visual issue. I think that's going to be another issue altogether somehow. But let's see if we get game load. So here we go. Reset. Doesn't look like it. What a shame. Oh, there you go. Maybe not a shame. So that's now working. So do we get screen? So it's all running. We just got to figure out what's wrong with the screen, basically. Which maybe it's just the clean screen's happened to die. Right, that's the pause working. Jumping working. So we're oh, what was that? Oh. Maybe we just got a bad connection on the solder ribbon. I think bear in mind these are prototype boards as well, so might just that's definitely looking like Sonic a little bit. Zoom out a minute. So it looks like we probably are good. I think we're dealing with some poor connection here somewhere. You can see that keeps flicking on and off, just touching this ribbon. So just literally moving this ribbon about is causing that. So it's probably going to be, yeah. So let's see if. Yeah, you can see that moving. So what we have there is definitely something dodgy with this ribbon, basically. So we'll try probably a new ribbon. But that looks like it's good. The other thing is, bear in mind, we have A7 still, not grounded yet on this. If you remember, that was one of the issues we saw and just didn't fix. So let's fix that now as well. Let's just, I think the other board's got the pin lifted. We did it on the first one. So we've got to lift this third pin up and send it to ground, which might then explain why we're getting random visuals on screen. I'm thinking more the connectors, just because the ribbons, we've used these ribbons on the two ASIC to prove everything worked, and it did, but I think it's a minor issue now. And it could just be the clean screen randomly has died, as well as that potential. That's in the air. No, I don't think it's moisture as such. I think it's maybe just flux in there. I think it's either going to be flux or solder connection, because these are probably hand-built samples with them being the prototypes. But we should be able to figure this out fairly easy now. We've got game load, which is the main thing we needed, so obviously it's mostly working. I think this now will fix the visual. I think we'll see Sonic properly if we mess with the ribbon, is my thought. I'm reckoning that AD7 is what's screwing up the visual. So now we just got to try and get this thing displaying something again. And then I bet when it does, it'll look correct. You'd hope. Oh, nearly. There's Sonic jumping about. So there's definitely something going on with this, either this clean screen or the ribbon. And it keeps rebooting if I'm holding still. Yeah, so this clean screen is definitely messing with this. Let's do it slower. Yeah, so that is a 50-60 Hertz switch as well. So so unplug that in a second, even Sega. That works. So the 60 and 50 Hertz does switch between 50 and 60. This we'd have to check on a game that shows a different intro screen. But yeah, this random visual here. Let's just swap the clean screen first and see if we get the same issue with another clean screen. And then we could also check if there's something going on with, like, if I've wired these connectors wrong, but I don't think I have. Ribbons. Let's clean these off as well. the new one. Is this the one I've just taken the ribbons off, or is this the one? Yeah, that's got flux on. This must be the new one. I'm not sure whether chat's working as well. I've just seen chat pop up on screen, but it's not actually in the chat box anywhere. Yeah, it's not popping up for some strange reason. So I might be missing chat, by the way, if people are sending messages and I'm not replying at the minute. It's I think it's not showing up on my chat feed, but it's showing up on screen. So if I'm not looking, I miss it. So that's on there. So same ribbons. I didn't, that's fine. I thought I must have glanced up and seen another pop up. I thought somebody had mentioned something. That can go away. Right, so same ribbons, new clean screen. Sound. No, so it's not the clean screen, but we still get the same thing pushing on this. And it's definitely clean screen related in a way, because you remove that and everything boots and it loads fine. So this will now carry on and start loading the game, I'd presume. Oh no, we've actually got a bit of a boot loop going on here. And that could actually be I know we've got the crystal off there. Let's see. Yeah, this is resetting now on this game. Let's try this one. Or again, it could be the clean screen connected up at all that's causing the issue. So we might have to just disconnect clean screen altogether. Yeah, something slightly weird here. Or is that what this game sounds like, to be honest? I'm not sure. No, it's just the Japanese version of Sonic. No. Let me try another connector. Still sounds the same. Yeah, so something odd's going on because we're not even getting game mode with that one in, but we are with this one. I have a Game Boy Light. Dark spots on the screen, they're only visible with the backlight on. It's probably the actual backlight itself if they're only visible with that on. if they look like the actual liquid crystal, the same as the screen, then it will still be the screen. Oh yeah, the noise is just coming from the USB plug. It's just because it's not a filter. This is just a test port, so you'll get whatever noise is on your USB cable will just come through. So that's like to be expected when you're just using the, the plug like this. Yeah. I wonder if this is crystal related now. Let me see what the crystal's doing. I reckon it's running slightly at the wrong speed. Now the crystal's running fine. And HSync and VSync are running fine. So could this be one with, it could be these RAM chips we suspected before on the other one. So it might be worth doing this fix on this board as well, so we've got two to play with. Now we know that's an issue. So I think we'll just do the exact same thing on this board and see if that fixes it. It could also be the C clock that we're missing that capacitor on that I found, but I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's just going to be, well, it could also be a bad ASIC as well. I just find it funny that we've still got that visual issue. Right, so we had to cut. One was the other side, wasn't it? One was down here. Let me just check that that's right. Yeah, that's that one. And then the other one, I can't remember where we cut the other one. Cut the other one above the E, just below. Now we'll solder a wire to both of them again. There's the lead pin there. And two. And 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one. There we go. Right, this on to pin 2. And this one onto the other pin we've tacked. It didn't start boot looping until I lifted that pin. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, if this starts boot looping, we'll investigate that. But based on the schematic, it should be lifted. Plus, that's video RAM. So again, I highly doubt anything on the video side. It's just the visual output. I don't think that'd cause boot looping. But yeah, it is interesting. Alright, so this is another one with the fix. So in theory, this should boot the same as the other now. So let's just listen for sound for now. Let's see if this one boots. This sounds a bit cleaner, doesn't cause much noise. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. No, nothing on this one. Although the last one took a while to stabilize, so that was another thing. That's lifted. Just check we've got this right. The right pin is pin 2. It is. And the read pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, yep, so that's definitely right on that. Don't seem to be getting any audio from this though. So this one could be a bad ASIC because we're getting nothing at all on that, even though we've done that. Let's just try this connector anyway. No. Quick continuity check. Game Gear Amber buttons. I don't think, well, we don't sell it anymore. I don't know whether we've got any spares. If you drop us an email, I can check. But I don't think we have any anymore. Yes, they're definitely connected right. Right, so there's nothing wrong with that. Let's get the probe out again. Let's just check if this one's getting clock. Right, okay, so we've got, I know the issue. We're connecting this up and you get it booting, but it boot loops. It says. But the fact that that just booted once when this is on, this will smooth out See, there you go. When you connect that and disconnect, this is smoothing out the ground a little bit when you connect the oscilloscope. So we might need to use a power supply for this. It might be that the 1A6 are more susceptible to noise, maybe, or the clock pin might need that cap on. That is not on at the minute. The other issue I found that the C clock is missing a cap. So if there's a noisy 5-volt rail, we might not get boot. So let's just power it with a decent power supply first. I don't think it's going to stop the screen issue though still somehow. Right. Now we can use one of the new, oh, it's already here, the new power core. So just a nice low cost power board. This should get rid of the audio noise as well. No, we still got that boot loop. So I wonder if it is this lifted pin, like you say. I can't see it being that, but strange how it did seem to start when we lifted that pin. There we go. That's back down. See what we get now. So the 1 ASIC has some kind of feedback, or yeah, that is strange. That must have some kind of feedback from the video chip, which I'm not sure how. So if you float address 7, it gives back data. Yeah, it must be checking video data. It must like be processing internally and detecting it's faulty. So the video chip can actually cause that corruption. So let's see if that's interesting to note. Where's my other ribbon gone? There. So that's another potential issue for boot on 1 ASIC. So I'll probably add that to the wiki, that video RAM could actually prevent boot. But I'm sure I've done a boot without video RAM at all and it boots. So I don't think if the video RAM's missing, you should still get boot. But if it's present and faulty, it could prevent boot. So it's like you're probably best removing the video RAM when you come to boot. So now the last issue, hopefully, is this VSync collapsing, which I don't think that's going to have gone away. I think we're going to still have the issue. Yeah, so we're still getting, I don't know why, but VSync collapsing. So let's just... That sounded like a fart. That definitely wasn't a fart. That was this rubbing. If we disconnect this... It's almost like if you get this in just the right spot. I mean. We are trying to get this prototype Game Gear board I've made working. We found a few issues that we've hopefully fixed. But the last issue is just the screen not quite displaying right. Which I've got a feeling I've maybe just wired this connector wrong somehow. Or the pins are just not quite lined up. Something's going on simple. I almost just want to put a pull-up on that VSync, but when this is flickering up as well, if it's ever been stable enough to see, have we actually got a stable Sonic, I guess is the question. Like, have we still got that exact same video corruption as the other one, or is it now looking normal, but it's hard to tell with it flicking on and off. There, yeah, so it's still at that video corruption, so. Hang on, there's something going on strange here. Oh, I've fixed the wrong thing. Work RAM. It's because the video RAM is normally there. So because on this board, video RAM's here, that's work RAM for us. This is the video RAM we should have been fixing. So that's why lifting this pin stopped it working. We're lifting the wrong pin. We need to lift the third pin on here. So we can probably just lift the pin. I don't think it'll need grounding. Well, it might do because it'll potentially float high. But yeah, that'll be the issue with the visual corruption. But it also makes a lot more sense because, like I say, the video pin shouldn't have feedback on, so how it was stopping it booting was confusing, but that's because we're lifting the work RAM, not the video RAM. That makes sense now. So if we ground this, we'll probably get the correct visual on screen. Then we just need to see why VSync keeps collapsing. That's a really quick fix on that. Now, if we can get this to actually show on screen once, I bet you'll find it shows correct on screen. It's just, can we get the thing to actually show on screen? That's the next problem. Oh, don't do that. Use this. There we go. So if I keep that perfectly still, you can see that is working. This is just a connector issue. So the issue is definitely, I think either this connector they've used is the wrong one, or maybe the ribbons for that don't suit, but these ribbons are known working. Yeah, so we know this is, we've just seen it working, so there's just a problem with this connector. It's not going to be the pins either. I think I do have some prototype ribbons though. Where did I put them? Here, so we've got some prototype ribbons that the factory have made specifically with these boards, so I guess it's worth testing them ribbons as well in case they're made with a slightly different pitch. Let's see. Fingers crossed. No, same issue with the ribbon. So it's not just the ribbon as such. I think it's going to be the connector. I guess the question is it just that VSync? And then do we just put a resistor on if so? Because it was only the VSync we saw collapsing, and if that's still collapsing, we might be able just to add a resistor so it doesn't load down. So if we just minimize that, pull up a schematic. No, not schematic, we want the scope. Put the scope over. Right, so we've got the clock, which we know of. We've got heatsink there. So you see heatsink's collapsing, and if we, VSync's collapsing. If we remove the ribbon, you see it jumps back up. So as soon as this ribbon's connected in, we lose VSync somehow. I don't know why, that makes no sense, but everything else seems to stay. So do we just try a pull-up? I think the first step is just try add a pull-up on VSync. Maybe that's on the original board and not in the schematic. Let's just get a 10K pull-up. And let's just have a quick look at what's by the VSync. VSync, H-sync, VSync M. Right, I've added that connector. Let me just try and see. I need this on the bigger screen so I can see something. Let me just check if there's any difference between that ribbon. I bet there is, you know. I think to ASIC, I've got a feeling I've changed the connector to support VA45. And I bet on the clean screen we're pulling one of them pins to ground, maybe. It might just be floating, but let me check. M clock. Ah, yeah, M clock. That's why. So, oh no, that is VSync. Oh, VSync M clock. Yes, so that's the issue. So, won't be the pull-up. What it is a way to support the VA45s is I reuse one of the pins on this connector to send M clock into the ASIC, into the clean screen. So there's just going to have to be, I'm going to have to add a resistor that you can remove, and you'll have to hand wire. Well, at the minute, you'd have to hand wire everything anyway for the VA45, so it's not an issue. So to solve this issue for now, we just need to cut one more trace. And this will be something that I'll support in version 4 of the clean screen. So for now, version 3, well, basically this board of it works. You'll have to hand wire the VA45 still from these test pads to the board. So they're only small wires, but that's the way I think we're going to have to do it, because this connector, can't even see that it's under the connector. Okay, the simplest thing then is to cut through this ribbon, because what's happening is the pins on here, if I zoom in, this ribbon, the top pin is currently M clock for VA45s on the clean screen, and 2 pins down is VSync. So in here, we currently, because VSync is actually the exact same pin as M clock, they're the same pin. So this should be VSync, and this is currently a separate M clock. So this is going to a separate level shifter on here. So basically all we end up doing is we're shorting out VSync and M clock. And then because M clock's then driving this, I think we're getting some feedback and one's pulling the other low. So what we'd have to do is we could either alter the clean screen to, disconnect this pin, what looks like the left pin, even though it shouldn't be the left pin. I'll pull that up to double check, but it's the M clock pin that is causing the issue. Well, let me just double check that before we make a cut. That's ultimately the problem. But I just want to double check on the clean screen side as well. Yeah, so M clock and VSync are separate. So we could, yeah, we'd have to cut the trace there. Right, so what would happen is we could either alter this and cut this trace right here, that little stick out piece there, to stop the issue, or we can just cut the ribbon that we're using and cut the top trace so it never makes a connection. So I'm just going to use scissors and I think alter the ribbon just to prove this. Then it obviously won't be an issue when I produce these. I'll fix this, but that's the issue we've got right now. So let's just zoom out a minute. And then I think this will be fully working. So we just need to, in fact, let me do this under the scope so I don't mess up the ribbon. Ooh, it's harder than I thought. I think I've done that right. Right then, let's now look under the scope, see if we've got it right. Yep, so I need to zoom in to really see this. All I've done is nicked out that little piece there. So now the top trace won't connect. So let's see if that's fixed the issue. It should do. I'm pretty confident that's one of the issues. Well, hopefully the only remaining issue. And disconnect the scope. Unplug that. And what do we think? Are we going to get Sonic? I reckon we are. Put this in. That on there. And do we get screen? There we go. Finally. So let's see if this is stable visually. Flip him over. And there we go. So that is the RePCB for the one ASIC working. So a couple of issues. Nothing major, but there was quite a few issues there. There was a read and write pin, back to front. We have the support of the VA45. Adding that kind of messes up the old clean screen, so I'm going to have to add a resistor. So instead of cutting that ribbon, you just populate a resistor. There's a point, I can make it so you just populate a resistor. Yeah, I might be able to actually get this so you can do a wire-free VA45, because if I think about it properly and send the pins in using basically just moving a few resistors around on this board, it can send the signals into the right path of the clean screen 3. So then you can have a wire-free VA45. So that's that all working. I'll obviously get the other ones up and running. And then we will probably test the VA45s maybe tonight or tomorrow, because the VA45 should work on this as well. But I'll need time to figure that out. So that's it. That's a 1 ASIC ready to go. See if I can get that focusing as well. I think it's slightly out of focus. There we go. In focus now as well. So there's a few things we need to do. We've got to improve this silk screen. It's quite low quality, as well as the coating is coming off fairly easily, so we need to make sure the factory fix that. LED looks fine. Buttons look fine. We've got to fix the read and write pins. I've got to put a capacitor on the C clock line just for good measure, because that's where it should be. And then I've got to try and think if I can add some resistors to send in the VA45 into the clean screen wire free. And we also need to test VA45 as well. So we've got a little bit more work to do before we send it in production. The region switches work, yeah. So if we flip over, bear in mind the clean screen V3 won't work with the slower frequency, but the clean screen V4 will. So in fact, you'll have to hear it to know that it's working, because this is expecting a certain frequency, which is 60 Hertz. And if we change it to 50, even though the console still runs, the clean screen can't handle 50 Hertz at the minute. So we'll turn it on. Hungry says. Oh yeah, this one isn't working on this. It was on the other because you could hear it go slower. Yeah, so we want to double check why that isn't working on that one. Or do you have to reboot? Maybe on the one it doesn't. No, so the region switch on that one isn't working. But I heard it on. Well, I say I heard it on the other one that we didn't fix. Flipping this, you kind of heard the frequency change. So let me just see what we're dealing with voltage-wise on this. But that's just a simple switch, so that should be working in theory. We've probably just got something simple going on. So it'll be the middle pin. There's ground. Flick it open. Ah, yeah, so there's something with... Let's have a look on the schematic. That's a good point. That should be pulling up to 5 volts, I believe, one side, and that's just flickering. So close a few of these down a minute. It was working on the other one, I'm pretty sure. Like the other one of this board, I'm sure I saw it. That switch, yeah, so 5 volts is... How is that missing? That can't be missing. That's ground. That's 5 volts. So we're not getting 5 volts where we should, which is on this pin. This pin should be literally... Oh, now you've got 5 volts, really? Now we haven't again. I think it's just a bad connection on... there you go. So, just a bad connection on the switch. Cheap switch. So again, that's something to push to the factory. But, if we maybe short that over... So there you go. See how the screen's now dropped and it's running slower. So there's the slow, and then let go, and there's the fast. So slow, fast, just cheap switch. So I'll make a note of that as well. They need to improve them switches. They are not good. So they need better quality switches, which on here, yeah, they feel way better on the switch, on the 2 ASIC. So whatever brand of switches they've used here, they're not making contact inside. Or is it just the solder joint? Is it just a reflow of these pins? I think it is just the quality of the switch that they definitely need to improve it. So that's the switch reflowed. And let's see. So there you go. I think that's now working. I think it was just reflowing. Audio. Yeah, so just reflowing that switch has done it. There you go, fast, slow. And then obviously the screen will just fade on slow because, it, like I say, the V3 doesn't handle the slower speed, but that's the switch working. So now, can anybody remember what games you load on the Game Gear that shows you a different intro screen? Because that's what we need to test. We can also test this bypass switch. So we have on here, we have, this is definitely a bit foggy, this camera lens. I need to do something about that. It's a little bit foggy. Focus in. This TMSS here. This should, focus in again, this should bypass that blue startup screen. So the blue startup screen we have when it says Sega, if we bridge that, we should now be able to power up and it goes straight to game. So there you go, there's Sega straight away. Then if we unbridge that, we get that. So that means the bridging is TMSS disabled, so I need to put an exclamation on that TMSS, because that means, you know, disable it basically. TMSS, change label to not TMSS. So that's the trademark screen. That's what TMSS is, trademark splash screen. Oh yeah, I've got about literally probably over 100 of these that I now can go through. Obviously, I've got to get them made, but this is ultimately working for us now. We just need a couple of wires fixing. Right, the only thing is the English and Jap then. We need to know what game we can put in where it shows a different title screen. I know there's some games on Game Gear, so when you flick that switch, you'll get a different title screen, and that's how we'll know if this language switch is working. I better reflow them pins as well in case these are bad, because the last one was. And to be honest, I don't think the switches themselves were bad. It is just the solder. They've obviously just not used a good profile on this for the solder. So let's see if we can find. I'm pretty sure Sega doesn't. Puyo I think has alternate screen based on tile. So that one definitely doesn't. So save, probably hunting for tons of games, and probably best just getting a flash cart and a set of rubbers, if I haven't already got some, so that I can, let's get some rubbers out of here, then I'll load the flash cart, and we can load up a game. Back in 2 seconds, guys. So I grab a drink. PS3, we don't work on, unfortunately. It's one of the systems we just don't work on. And we've stopped really working on anything with lasers just because we can get them working and then it doesn't work for the customers due to the noise on the mains power, the games being different quality. It just was a nightmare to try and offer warranty and maintenance on stuff like that. Right, so we want a couple of these rubbers. Rarely ever seen these. These are what everybody's always on about, these ball bearing rubbers. They're common, much more common in America. We don't really see them. So I think that's literally the first or second time I've seen them ball bearing versions. Alright, let's go on. Alright, we've got the rubbers. Flash card. Where's the flash card? Over here, probably. And I'm probably going to have to load this up as well. I've got the SD card. Oh, no, I don't think we've got an SD card. It's making me work for it. Let's get this loaded up. Right, so it's, oh yeah, Streets of Rage, I remember that one. Bare Knuckle, that's definitely the one we want to do. We can try the other one as well, but I remember that one now. I knew there was something with a fighting game, I couldn't remember which one it was. Format this. I can close down a lot of these now. I'm going to have to flip this over. That's all the games on, so we have a fully loaded SD card now. There we go. So the idea here is to load Streets of Rage and then see if we toggle the language switch which way around it is as well, which screen we see. So I want to go into Game Gear, down to Streets of Rage. This might take a while. Oh, it's left and right, isn't it? There we go. And then we can try that other game as well. Streets. Where's Streets of Rage? Is it a Master System game? Or do you think it's under Bare Knuckle, maybe? Yeah, what was the other game? It was a P, wasn't it? Puzzlo Kids. Puyo Puyo, that's one, but that's Japanese. Will that change the menu? I guess we can try that one a minute. And then I hope we don't have to turn this on and off and go to that game again to check, but we'll see. So we should see Puyo Puyo when it's in Japanese or Puzzlo Kids when it's in English. Get some audio. So that's that, and we're actually in Japanese on the back, so let's switch that over now. And flip this back around. I'm probably going to have to power cycle. This is awkward to do. I think what I'll do is just do this. I know we need the menu as well. This is just awkward. Right, can you just press start and load the last game? I can't remember if you can do that on these. And 2 maybe? See, 2 and 1 just to get back to the same game. Yeah, there we go. So hopefully this will show a different tile. There you go. So region switch is working as well, and it's the correct way. So everything's working. We've got 60 and 50 hertz the right way, the language the right way. Everything working, audio-wise. All the buttons working. So I think the VA1 and 2 are perfectly fine. So this is good to go in terms of this one. We'll check the 4 and 5 probably later today, but that's all working. I think we're good to go into production, bar those few little glitches. I'd be interested to find out where Streets of Rage was as well, because that wasn't in the menu. But it might be under... Was Streets of Rage just Master System, though? Because they should have every game on. Let's see if it was a Master System. Oop. Go back. Yeah, so Streets of Rage is Master System. So let's see if that one works. Now, before we do this, can I do this without resetting the console? Change that back to... Now, which region will say Streets of Rage? Surely Streets of Rage is the English and Bare Knuckle will be the Japanese, maybe? Let's see. Yeah, maybe the physical copy will just be the Master System ROM inside a Game Gear like Castle of Illusion, and that'll be why it's in the Master System category on here. So it'll be the same for like Castle of Illusion will probably only appear in that. So let's see if we get this. So that says Streets of Rage, and that's in the Japanese option. So toggle that over. And like I say, yeah, maybe this ROM file I'm using isn't the right one either, but we've seen it work in the other game, so we know it works. I'm just trying to I'd just like to see the Streets of Rage one, but we'll see. And if not, I can have a quick look back in the folder. Yes, that's still Streets of Rage. Let's see if we can find it back in that folder. It might be just named Bare Knuckle in the Game Gear folder, maybe. So I didn't see it in Streets of Rage on here, and there should be everything. Yeah, it's under Bare Knuckle there, so that'll be the one. Oh yeah, Bare Knuckle, and then an arrow, then Streets of Rage, so that's literally the one it's going to be. So this is English, so I think this will be Streets of Rage, because I know it is Streets of Rage, and I think it's going to be the Japanese one that'll show Bare Knuckle. Right, so that's Streets of Rage. Toggle this over, and then reset. Oh. Yeah, there you go, Bare Knuckle. So, all working good. I think that's all we needed to check. Can't seem to start that. Ah, 2 different starts. There we go. Definitely impossible to play with just rubbers floating on top. But yeah, that's all good. So I'll get all those little minor issues fixed, and then I'll probably test a VA45, like I say, later today or tomorrow, I think, so we can get this into production as soon as. Yeah, these are already in a spot where you can access them without removing the case. So if we carefully take this out, take this out and this out, this off. Just see if I can see that. I should actually double check. I did actually position them, but I positioned it obviously without checking. You got a Game Gear shell there, like a back shell, or not? No. To open this one up. Oh, I didn't. Oh yeah, I didn't put screws in. Game Boy Color's pretty low on the list. We can make them for anything, but GBA is far more popular at the minute. That's the most requested. So that's a fully working screen. Right, so we need, all you have to do is take this plastic out, I think is where it sits. Remember rightly, that's the back, that's that way around. Yeah, so you take this plastic off, if you've got it on, obviously an original case. And then if that's in, line the headphone port up so we know it's there. Yeah, and they're just about accessible. So I could maybe tweak that position, but you've got access in here then that you could, you know, get your tweezers in, flick that one quite easily. And then the other one is there to flick. So like that one you can flick. So they're in really the perfect spot. They just about fit in a spot where you can get them. I could move them maybe slightly further across and down. I don't think there's an issue there, but they're fully accessible, so I think it's a nice discrete spot where you can get to. Yeah, you can definitely access them, no problem. Obviously, you're never going to get in with your finger, so it's just when you've got tweezers, you can get in nice and easy. And we know this switch works because it's in the exact same position as the 2 ASIC, and people have already been using that. So I think that's everything checked. Yeah, you're welcome. I don't mind sharing what I do, as long as people enjoy it. So that's it again, guys. I'll probably, I don't know whether I'll be on again later. I've been on most of today already, and I've got to get on with some other stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and at least with those 3 bodge wires and 2 cuts, we've got this thing working. So not too bad overall for a complete remake, with obviously based on schematics that are also wrong. So I'm happy with that. And I'll catch you later on. What we were doing was fixing this Game Gear RePCB. You've just missed it, we've just finished it, but if you go back and watch, you can see us figuring out the problem with this and fixing it. And then I might be on later to do a VA4 chip on here, which should work just the same. So we should be able to get VA4 up and running as well.